there's all kinds of TV stars from the past, like the guy that played in Paladin, and Kathy Carter, who was Sissy in The Family Affair, and Bond girls, and all sorts of people here. And we have a table here just like them. So we're excited we're here talking about my book, Between Thorns and Glory.
She said, watch this movie and you tell me why I didn't like acting. And it was the old fort and the Indians were attacking it, and she was a baby in arms, the leading lady had her, and she's running from the Indians and she fell. And you see the baby roll across like that, and then they make it into the cabin and she's there, and there's my dad who's playing her dad, and he's shooting through the thing, and then an Indian makes it through the window and shoots him with an arrow. So she's sitting right there, sees her dad get shot with an arrow and die in front of her and everything. She's like,
so I was a huge fan of your show as a child, and I was an only child for many years till my brother was born. And so you guys were my siblings. You guys were my imaginary friends. And every time we went to visit my grandmother or anything, you guys had a special seat on the bus and everything. So you guys were with my whole childhood. I had a very vivid imagination, and I became a writer. But I had a question. How did it feel to become paper dolls?
Oh, I love my paper doll. She's so skinny and she's got such a great figure.
So beautiful.
I really like my paper doll. So it was very interesting to see a cutout cardboard of myself, and I liked it a lot.
She was so beautiful. She really was.
She was.
Which was you. You were so beautiful as a paper doll. And I played with you guys.
Now what
every day.
about now?
Oh my gosh, I'm Mrs. Beasley. I wanted one of them so bad when I was a little girl. A real Mrs. Beasley. How cool is that? Between Thorns and Glory is an inspirational fantasy novel. And this girl, 12 years old, she's out walking her dog, and she discovers an enchanted cottage and a strange lady dressed all in gray. And she wonders what is going on in this place. She tries to get closer, and she's attacked by the forest. And she realizes that it's enchanted. So she sets out to discover the secrets and the mysteries behind this cottage. When she does, she learns that she begins to uncover dark family secrets. And she doesn't know if she will survive them. So tell us your name. Valerie Archibald. And tell us what you're here to do.
So I am a member of the Roanoke Valley Christian Writers Group, and they come here to the Happy Trail television and media event every year, and this is my third year.
And tell us about your book.
I have written 2 Christian books for children and their families. This is my baby. I love it. Toddler Theology. It's the gospel story for little people in simple language so they can understand it.
There were no books exactly like this, which is a 31-day journal, which would help someone if they're on vacation and packs easily into a suitcase or into a purse and take it on vacation on their camping trip. And so I did the same thing, 31 days of devotions. Particularly, I could sit at the beach, I could look at things around me at the beach, the sand, the seashells, the seagulls, people participating in activities at the beach, surfers and so forth. And I wrote a devotional around everything witchy.
I'm actually the author of 2 children's books, and I'm also a writer for Chicken Soup for the Soul. And have another children's novel coming out soon. So, yeah.
I am hanging out with all of these lovely ladies that provided our delicious and yummy lunch today. Potato bar is my favorite. Yay! And these are the community church ladies who volunteered to help us out with our lunch today. Thank you so much. We really, really, really
You're welcome.
It's our pleasure.
and has a different story of where God has led your feet to go down.
And that's an inspiration.
It takes a lot of talent to make a baked potato and a salad. So you know.
It's some kind of inspiration. It's not a given. And that's why we love Virginia. To you guys, this is just normal. But trust me, we've been out in the world, past the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it's not normal out there. And what's your name is Gail?
Gayle, Gayle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
As long as we're not together.
And this big sister, I didn't have a big sister. So that was my idea of what a big sister would be like. So that was like such a wonderful model for me of how to be a big sister to my brother. So I kind of, when I got a brother, I kind of like used your character as that. But did that character, was that you, or did you feel like you could relate to that character, or?
Well, a couple things. You know, it's interesting what television does do for us. And it sometimes, I think, is that a reflection of culture or does that build culture? And I used to watch Father Knows Best. And I really liked it because Lauren Chapin was called Kathy, and she had an older brother named Bud, and my older brother was named Bud. So I said, oh, this is my family. And so, you know, it starts a kind of thing that you can like duplicate, or that's a model, you know, for you. And in acting, I always think you have to be yourself. You can't be, even though you're playing a character. What comes from you and the basic part, it's your heart, it's your expressions, it's your particular spirit. And so you inculcate that into the kind of character you're going to play. Even if you're playing a really evil character, there's some passion there, there's a reason why that this character is so evil. And for Sissy, who is just a lovely character, had a big dollop of me, I basically make a very kind person. I am, and I'm, you know, I'm a smart person, and so and Sissy was smart, and she kind of analyze the situation, which is a part that my brain would do. So if I had a scene, I would analyze the scene and then just let it go and then go moment to moment.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you are Sissy. You are. How cool is that?
Say. Okay, so John, my question for you.
Okay.
From your journey with intelligence at NASA, it's phenomenally fascinating, and you as a musician, where do you see, can you perceive, where technology might be going in entertainment? I know music is your specialty. You're a phenomenal musician, a brilliant entertainer, and hilarious as all get up. Do you have any comments on where we might be going? Like Rebecca shared when she was a Knight Rider, this talking car, now we're in that world that passed.
Well, one of the things about anything that is, you were talking about digital music and how it doesn't have the quality of the analog. And that's because you have to take something that is a continuous sound or wave, and you've got to digitalize that into one and zero.
It was called amongst a whole table, you may know about this, of CIA people and operatives, and it was before he was writing Have Gun Will Travel. He was doing all these westerns. He was amazing. And they brought him into this room and they were talking about space travel. They were talking about monitors that you could talk into. If you think all of his ideas were just off the top of his head, he actually was given a lot of this in a very private setting. And if you look at, remember the flip phones we had?
Yes.
And look at Star Trek.
But think about the other aspect of that. There are people here today who are no longer with us, but they can make you believe that they are. The power that they have now through the use of AI to fool us all is enormous. So we need to look at everything with great skepticism and remain in control and keep our minds very conscious and very aware. And as long as we stay in control and not allow ourselves to fall for the propaganda, we can use it in a way that benefits us, but not let it get in control of us.
Rebecca, that's really well said. Thank you for
I'd like to say
We
about
have already, our society has been fooled by the AI mechanism that has been installed in us.
So I was just saying that during the 70s, all through the 70s, 10 years, I had a rock and roll group with my twin sister. We sang and danced. I played keyboard, she played guitar. We had a drummer, and her husband was a bass man, and we were known all over the circuit. There was a drummer that I had a crush on. Never hook up with drummers. No, guitar players, piano players, but drummers.
Good advice, girls.
Yeah, don't ever hook up with a drummer.
So Baby James is off the table here because he's a drummer.
No, but you'll spread his wings, right? So, all right. But anyway, his brother worked undercover, CIA and everything else like that. And one day he showed me these pictures. Now this is 1971. He showed me these black and white fuzzy pictures that he actually got from his brother that warned him never show anybody this.
And he immediately.
Well, he had a crush on me too, so you'd be surprised what you can get away with. Anyway, he showed me this picture they took of the moon with these little buildings on it.
With these little what?
Buildings. They were little buildings and they were habitats. And he said that we have been there before.
Artificial intelligence and future entertainment.
I think I can shed some light on this. That those little houses you were talking about on the moon,
Yeah.
I used to live there.
I so believe that.
I had a neighbor by the name of Clark Kent.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
No, actually, any intelligence that's ever been attributed to me is artificial. So, but all seriousness aside, what is artificial intelligence? I mean, I know I'm kind of behind the loop here, but what exactly is it?
It's a lot easier. I mean, you even look at, talk about Siri. That was an excellent example of a rudimentary AI capability that you can talk to her and she can recognize your voice and recognize what you're asking and provide a pre-planned response. Now, the AI they're talking about these days gets out of that pre-plan. It gets into figuring things out on its own based on a lot of the information that it now has access because we've populated the internet.
2000 was exactly about a car with artificial intelligence. It could talk, it could drive itself. All of the things that back in the 80s we thought was so futuristic. But what do we have now? We have cars that talk. We have cars that can drive themselves. I don't know how safe that is or if they're going to let them out in the environment, but they exist. And I think AI is a wonderful thing as long as we keep it under control. I think it has the potential to do great harm if we don't keep it harnessed. I see society being dumbed down by the use of it. I see young people get in their cars and they can't go anywhere without programming the address into the car. They don't have a sense of direction. They don't know where north, south, east, and west even is. They are completely lost because they are completely dependent on the AI that exists in their cars.
That's by design.
You talked about Facebook and that it had a good purpose originally. I would beg to differ with that. It was created as a surveillance tool, but they have indoctrinated us all to believe that it's this wonderful thing that we can share all about our lives with our friends and our family. In the meantime, it is collecting every bit of data about your life.
The one thing you really have to, don't bury the lead with artificial intelligence. What does the word artificial mean? It's not real.
Hey Siri, what's artificial? Cue Grandpa.
But it's artificial. There is no God involved. And who programs all of these programs? They are not ruled by God. They are ruled by money and by programming. And if I want to take over your life, that's not a God thing.
Well, it took me a long time to believe, like with digital, you can make a clone of something. You got a tape, and it's not really a copy. Well, it's a copy, but it's an exact copy because of the digital process, and you lose nothing. You don't lose any quality. And originally, with what they called analog, if you made a copy of that, each
It
time
was down a generation.
Yeah, each time you copied it, it lost some of its clarity, And it took me a long time to believe when they were like copying my songs from digital to another digital source that they weren't losing something. I said, "Are you sure?" I couldn't hardly believe that you could actually make something that's just exactly the same as what the source was, So that for me was a significant thing, but now it's just gone way beyond,
And how was it for you when it then moved from the digital up into the world of the internet, like iTunes and all these things that you can't even see?
Yeah, it just changed, renovated everything.
So did money.
Yeah, recording companies were not as necessary as they used to be, because now people download things. They don't even need a record.
Now, there's a term, disruptive. Have you ever heard that term, disruptive? Not disruptive, but disruptive.
Hey Siri.
Did what?
Disruptive. That means the vinyl went to the cassette, and the cassette went to the streaming, the CD. When the typewriter went to the computer, when a technology is no more, it's disruptive technology.
Wow.
And that's what happened with the vinyl. But what I think is very interesting is all of a sudden, vinyl's coming back. Suddenly, some younger hip people or moms and dads that raise their kids right, like, oh, let me put on this old Bing Crosby record or whatever.
I like working with human beings.
That's what my question was.
Yeah, I really, you can do that.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I've recorded with a live band, my group. We've gone in there. It's an awesome experience. I can't get them to do the things that I'd like to do. And so something like Band in a Box allows me the opportunity, and I've got it too. It allows me the opportunity to develop the kind of songs that I'd like to do. And it at least creates a notional version of it. If you want to then take it and then reproduce it with live musicians, you can certainly do that. But you can also get things out there for folks to hear and see what you're capable of doing without having to rely on somebody wanting to do what you want to do, or the extensive cost of renting a studio, getting those players in there. So again, it's got its good side and it's got its downside.
I don't put anything on Facebook until I'm already gone. I don't put my meal as I take a picture of my plate and say where I am or what restaurant I'm in. I would not put my children's pictures or their names on anything on social media. If you notice, I posted a post about a Western that I did where I had a 12 gauge in my hand, and for the next week I got NRA emails. I mean, they know everything about you. So if we keep that in mind, what its original intent was, and never underestimate what the intent was. It was an NSA software program. And they have used it to collect data on all of us. So we can use it in a good way, but don't let the propaganda get to us. These things can be used in a very harmful way if we don't stay in control. I do not use Face ID on my phone. Big Brother is watching always. Your cell phone, your iPhone has a camera. They are watching you all the time if you let them.
As far as AI goes, I can tell you that in all the movies that I've done, a lot of them are sci-fi, and the other video games, done a lot of video games and things where, motion capture, they put things on your body and you're hitting the ground and stuff like that, and then they put a picture on top of you, and that's what all these games are. All the CGI, we saw the biggest problem came in the stunt world because we do practical stunts. I've been a stunt woman for 40 years. Practical stunts are where when I fall down a flight of stairs, I fall down a flight of stairs. When I go over out of a building, or when I'm being harnessed, ratcheted back 35 feet to the cement, I do that. When I'm on a horse and I'm thrown off and dragged, I do that. When I dive through a window, 12 plates of glass, and I have to hit 6 feet out, I do that. And I make $1 for that. And I make my pension and Social Security and my medical. I do that. If you have any doubt, watch me walk. When they started CGIing that, they were taking our bodies and mimicking them.
Oh gosh, you lost that whole journey.
You lose it, yeah. People were losing everything. And we were complaining. And we said, you guys don't understand. They're having fun with all of this, but you don't understand. It's wiping us out.
Yeah, it is.
And one of the things, AI is very powerful. It's a powerful technique. You're absolutely right.
It's very dangerous.
It's just like everything else we have. You were talking about Facebook. Facebook is wonderful when you use Facebook for what it was designed to be used for, but yet people abuse it all the time. Nuclear weapons. So many things that, the Nobel Prize was created by the guy who invented dynamite, and he invented dynamite for constructive purposes, and then they were used for destructive. Everything that we have, you can use it for good.
The holograms, is that artificial information? We did a play type thing, or little short movie clip, and my son was in it also. He was playing the part of David, young David from the Bible, and I was Jesse, his father. Okay, and so the end result was they used our clips that we filmed, along with holograms or whatever. So part of what you were seeing on stage was real people, and part of what you were seeing was what looked like real people and real animals walking across the stage, and there's no animals up there. There's holograms.
Well, that's more special.
Is that artificial intelligence?
I'd say that's more special effects.
Yeah, special effects, optical effects, optical illusions, and they have the ability to create the voices.
The voice.
And make it sound like they're saying
make a
this.
phone call that your child
Yes.
is kidnapped right now for ransom, and it sounds like Grandpa's voice. And then you're going to scramble around trying to find money, and you're going to go to the police, and you're going to do this, and it was all just an AI generated voice.
Yep. And you think about,
there's so much danger that goes with this.
we have voice recognition software, right? Well, and we have facial recognition software.
Rehab therapy. And his PT, his therapist, was a godly woman, and she would say to Mike, "Can I pray for you? I see darkness all around you." And he wasn't a Christian, and he would say, "Sure, knock yourself out, whatever, whatever you want."
Yeah,
you know?
Mike would say that.
And periodically she was asked to pray for him. Finally he said, "You're either, batshit crazy, those are Mike's words, not mine, or you really believe this stuff." And she said, "I am the person who does the rehab for the children, the women who are injured by the satanic ritual abuse. Who do you think puts them back together? I know it's real. I know what's happening because they come to me to get fixed."
Wow.
He started looking around and recollecting things, big parties that he had been to with the top elites in Hollywood. We're talking about the entertainment business, right?
Right. And the guy did
And
the
he
movie with-
remembered symbols and statues and pictures that he had seen in homes of the biggest directors and the biggest actors in LA.
Most of them are pedophiles.
And he realized all of the Satanism, the Luciferianism that he had been in contact with but never really absorbed was there. Good news is he became a Christian. He put out this documentary.
Yeah.
Chase Brandon was the top guy in the CIA who was hired to recruit the screenwriters in Hollywood so that they could do the propaganda and influence all of us, because that's the biggest way to influence minds is through our entertainment. The husband of one of my dearest friends was recruited into Project Mockingbird. He disappeared in '97 just as he was about to direct his biggest film. He had written a script. We do not know what happened to him to this day. Chase Brandon, however, the head of the CIA, who was in charge of recruiting these screenwriters, came to my friend's home and said, I was a good friend of Gary's. He had been at the house before. He came to the house. He said, I can help you find him. I can find these if you let me onto his computer. He wiped it clean. And the last thing on the computer was, do you want to delete The Big Steal, which was the script that disappeared, that also disappeared from the agent's office, that also disappeared from all the floppy disks and the computer in his car.
Now, this sounds...
This stuff is real.
Yeah. Now know how it started, though. And there was...
And Chase is in this documentary,
Yeah.
and he can tell you all about Project Mockingbird and how they recruited writers to propagandize all of us.
So they came to John Wayne and said, we want to increase enlistment. And we want to create more of an Americana feeling. So a lot of the movies that we love John Wayne in, where he played an American pilot, Navy man, Army, whatever, those were created to, if you want to use the word propagandize, to make Americans believe more in America. That was done for good. And when they realized just how perfect it worked, was they went, oh, well, we can tell them that anything now.
Sure.
We can tell them this, we can tell them that, but that started way back in the 40s.